She was christened by Miss Thorne, daughter of the lead council member that represents the District of Astoria. The ship was launched in June of 1946. The ship slid down the slipways into the Henbane River. She fitted out in the Block Island Navy Yard and was sent into sea trials in the spring of 1947. Being a Columbia-class heavy cruiser, she had a displacement of 14,500 long tons standard and 17,000 long tons fully loaded, and an overall length of 673 feet, a draft of 26 feet, and powered by 4 boilers powering 4 screws with a combined horsepower of 120,000, driving the ship at a max speed of 33 knots. Armed with 9 8-inch guns, she carried the usual parameters for Tumble Union heavy cruisers, and with armor ranging to 4 to 8 inches, she carried the standard armor practices. Her crew complement was 61 officers and 1,085 enlisted men. Astoria was the beginning of a subclass. She carried no secondary battery, replacing it with more anti-aircraft guns, unlike prior Columbias. Commissioned in November of 1947, after a summer-long training period, she commissioned into a fleet at war. The First Great War began only 6 months before the ship's commissioning, and she was deployed into the Central War Zone, escorting Jeep carrier forces, which were providing air cover for transport convoys. Here she racked up her first kills of the war, shooting down 7 Imperial aircraft. She shot down a further 4 aircraft, but it was after they dropped their weapons upon the escort carrier TUS Advocate. The carrier took heavy damage, including a torpedo hit, but the damage control crew kept the ship afloat. Astoria's first deployment to the Central War Zone was cut short, as she had to tow the damaged Advocate back to the National Shipyard for heavy repairs. She then returned for her second deployment, this time for shore bombardment. The ship joined the squadron of cruisers and destroyers, including the battlecruiser Constellation, for bombarding the beaches of Aden, the northern coast of Imperia. The operation began in December and lasted until February 1st of 1948. She then returned to escorting carrier fleets, raiding Imperial-held islands, until 1950, when Imperia surrendered and became a district of the Tumble Union. With many of her sister ships being damaged throughout the conflict, many were decommissioned and sent to reserve. Astoria, however, continued service as a heavy cruiser until 1960, when she was converted into a test ship, testing early missiles and auto-loading guns of the Tumble Union fleet. She maintained her number 1 8-inch turret, but turrets 2 and 3 were removed. They were replaced with a 5-inch auto-loading gun and missile launch systems in the stern-mounted helo deck and hangar for helicopters. In 1963, the ship supported marine landings on the Franklin Islands to depose the communist dictatorship held on the island. The small conflict ended in 1964, and the ship was sent home for yet another refit and overhaul. The Navy needed more helicopter platforms to support amphibious operations, but they did not want to sacrifice carriers for the job, so all the stern armament, flight deck, and hangar was removed. The stern deck was raised with supporting beams being placed to support a large aft flight deck and larger hangar built into the superstructure. The ship became a jack-of-all-trades support ship for landing operations, supporting Marines as with a mothership, supporting fire with her remaining gun armament and missile systems, and giving aerial support with her air wing of helicopters. She supported insurgencies and training exercises until 1983, when the ship was decommissioned and sent into reserve. She stayed there until 1998, when the ship was turned over to a non-profit organization which preserved the ship at St. Harbor, the main port facility in the district of Astoria, where she remains to this day.